Hello, my fellow chatterers, and welcome to the audio version of the Middlegrade Madness Challenge. Here I am going to explain what this is, talk you through all the books that are relevant to this challenge, and if you want to be involved in the prompts, I will explain those as well. The Middlegrade Madness Challenge is a year-long challenge where we look at trying to read some, or if you want to go for it, all of the books that were nominees in the Middlegrade Readers' Choice Awards from 2023 to 2025. You can do as much or as little as you want to take part, and it's all about sharing brilliant Middlegrade books that I'd love for you to enjoy. So what is the Middlegrade Readers' Choice Awards, and what do I mean by nominees for it? Essentially, when the Goodreads Choice Awards got rid of the middle grade category in 2023, myself and some other middle grade lovers were really sad, and we still wanted to be able to share the middle grade books that were published that year that people were excited about. And so we created the Middlegrade Readers' Choice Award. Using data from Storygraph and from Goodreads, we looked at which books were being most read by people that were published that year and which books had high star ratings from people that year. And we put them all together and we chose the top 20 books and also asked for people to recommend books published that year that they enjoyed. And we entered these as hidden gems. In 24 and 25, we had a process for voting where we have a consideration list, which is the top 6 to 25 books. And from that, we choose the top 10 to go through to the long list. And they join the automatic 5, which were the ones that were the highest 5 published that year. And then we have a hidden gem list where people can vote on their favourite 5 books that go to complete the long list. The long list is then voted on and cut in half to form a shortlist with the most popular votes going for the top 10. And then from this shortlist, we vote for the winning book. So now we have a wealth of amazing middle grade books. And I really want to give myself the opportunity to read them because there's so many on there that I'm interested in. So Stacey from my Discord Middle Grade Mad Chat, she's also in other areas of the book community as well. But she had a great idea of giving herself the challenge of trying to read as much of the Middle Grade Readers' Choice Award nominees as possible. I thought this was a brilliant plan and thought we should officialise it by doing a challenge. And so we created the Middle Grade Madness Challenge. And it's completely up to you how you want to do this. If you just want to work through the shortlist of every year, if you want to focus on trying to read everything from 2023 and then 2024 and so on, you can do. If you just want to have a look through and choose 5 books that maybe seem the most interesting across all the lists, do that. However you want to do it, you do it the way you want. It's just giving you an opportunity to be aware of these books and to see which ones speak to you and which ones you enjoy reading. I've also gamified it with some prompts and some maps, which I will go on to in a moment. But now I really want to give you the most important thing, which is which books were nominated. 2023 nominees were: the winning book was The Lost Library by Rebecca Stead and Randy Moss, and this is a magical realism mystery. In second place was Impossible Creatures by Catherine Rundle, which is a fantasy. In third place, Green Wild, The World Behind the Door by Parry Thomas, which is a fantasy. Joint fourth was Hammer and the Jungle of Memories by Hannah Alcaf, which is a fantasy. And The Witchstone Ghosts by Emily Randall Jones, which is a fantasy. The other 5 on the shortlist were The Swifts by Beth Lincoln, which is a mystery. The Grace of Wild Things by Heather Fawcett, which is a fantasy. Skandar and the Phantom Rider by A.F. Stedman, which is a fantasy. Falling Out of Time by Margaret Peterson Haddix, which is a dystopian thriller. And Saving Neverland by Abby Elphinstone, which is a fantasy. Books on the long list that didn't make it to the shortlist for 2023 were Camp Sylvania by Julie Murphy, which is a horror book. The Firefly Summer by Morgan Matson, which is a contemporary. Nick Blake and the Remarkables by Angie Thomas, which is a fantasy. Whale Done by Stuart Gibbs, which is a mystery. Simon Sort of Says by Erin Bow, which is a contemporary. Jamie by L.D. Lipinski, which is a contemporary and was a hidden gem. The Girl from Earth's End by Tara Daneman, which is a fantasy and was another hidden gem. The Probability of Everything by Sarah Everett, which is a dystopia. Dear Mothman by Robert Gow, which is a novel in verse contemporary. What Happened to Rachel Riley by Claire Swinarski, which is a contemporary mystery. Books that were considered but didn't make it onto the long list for 2023 are Finally Seen by Kelly Yang, which is a contemporary. Nothing Else But Miracles by Kate Albus, which is a historical fiction. Ellie Engel Saves Herself by Lee Johnson, which is magical realism. The Winderby Puzzle by Lois Lowry, which is historical fiction. Good Different by Meg Eden Coyat, which is a contemporary novel in verse. On Air with Zoe Washington by Janae Marks, which is a contemporary. And Once There Was by Kaya Shmosef, which is a fantasy book. And that's the end of the 2023 list. The 2024 book nominees are: the winning book was The Girl Who Kept the Castle by Ryan Groudon, which is a fantasy book and was a hidden gem. In second place, we have Amari and the Despicable Wonders by B.B. Alston, which is a fantasy. Third place is Gut Reaction by Kirby Larson and Quinn Wyatt, which is a contemporary and was also a hidden gem. Fourth place is The Last Hope School for Magical Delinquents by Nikki Powell Prato, which is a fantasy and was another hidden gem. In fifth place was The Whisperwicks, The Labyrinth of Lost and Found by Jordan Lees, which is a fantasy book. The other books on the shortlist were Skander and the Chaos Trials by A.F. Stedman, which is a fantasy book. Keedy by L. McNichol, which is a contemporary book. Artisans, The Forgotten Magic by L.D. Lipinski, which is a fantasy book. The Pumpkin Princess and the Forever Knight by Stephen Bambury, which is a fantasy. Greenwild, The City Beyond the Sea by Parry Thomas, which is a fantasy. Books on the long list that didn't make it to the shortlist for 2024 are City Spies, Mission Manhattan by James Ponti, which is a mystery book. Medusa, The Myth of Monsters by Catherine Marsh, which is a fantasy. The Mystery of Locked Rooms by Lindsay Curry, which is a mystery. The One and Only Family by Catherine Applegate, which is a contemporary. Yesterday Crumb and the Tea Witch Secret by Andy Sagar, which is a fantasy and was also a hidden gem. Tree Table Book by Lois Lowry, which is a historical fiction. Arkspire 2, The Order of Misfits by Jamie Littler, which is a fantasy. The Secret Language of Birds by Lynn Kelly, which is a contemporary. Coyote Lost and Found by Danja Meinhardt, which is a contemporary. The Lumbering Giants of Windy Pines by Mo Neds, which is a spooky fantasy and was also a hidden gem. Books that were considered but didn't make it onto the long list for 2024 are The Curse of Eelgrass Bog by Mary Aveling, which is a spooky fantasy. Wild Law, The Night Compass by Amanda Foody, which is a fantasy. The Partition Project by Sadia Faruqi, which is a contemporary. Not Quite a Ghost by Anne Ursu, which is a creepy contemporary. Finally Heard by Kelly Yang, which is a contemporary. Uprising by Jennifer A. Nielsen, which is a historical fiction. Olivetti by Ali Millington, which is a contemporary mystery. The First State of Being by Erin Entrada Kelly, which is a sci-fi. Shark Teeth by Sherry Winston, which is a contemporary. The Night Train by Lorelei Savarin, which is a horror book. The hidden gems that didn't make it onto the long list are Aya and the Star Chaser by Radia Hafiza, which is a fantasy. Podkin and the Tentacle Terror by Kieran Larard, which is a fantasy. The Island at the Edge of Night by Lucy Strange, which is a gothic thriller. Bridge to Bat City by Ernest Cline, which is a historical book set in the 1980s with fantasy and sci-fi strains. Sea Witch by Skye McKinnon, which is a fantasy. The Chronicles of Weatherwhy, The Age of Enchantment by Anna James, which is a fantasy. Momo Arashima Breaks the Mirror of the Sun by Mrs. Saguri, which is a fantasy. The books for the 2025 list are: the winning book is Silverborn, The Mystery of Morrigan Crow by Jessica Townsend, which is a fantasy. In second place is The Whisperwicks, The Impossible Trials by Jordan Lees, which is a fantasy and was also a hidden gem. Third place is The Poison King, Impossible Creatures by Catherine Rundle, which is a fantasy. In fourth place, The Witch Who Stormed the Palace by Ryan Growden, which is a fantasy and was also a hidden gem. In fifth place is Inkbound, Meticulous Jones and the Skull Tattoo by Philippa Leithley, which is a fantasy and was also a hidden gem. The other books on the shortlist are All the Blues in the Sky by Renee Watson, which is a contemporary novel in verse. Skander and the Spirit War by A.F. Stedman, which is a fantasy. The Seasons of Flames, The Chronicles of Weatherwhy by Anna James, which is a fantasy and was also a hidden gem. A Box Full of Murders by Janice Hallett, which is a mystery. The Forbidden Room, The Last Hope School for Magical Delinquents by Nikki Pau-Prato, which is a fantasy and was also a hidden gem. And Scarlet Morning by N.D. Stevenson, which is a fantasy. Books on the long list that didn't make it onto the shortlist for 2025 are The Green Kingdom by Cornelia Funke, which is a fantasy. Candle Island by Lauren Walk, which is a contemporary. The Undead Fox of Deadwood Forest by Aubrey Hartman, which is a fantasy. Pocket Bear by Catherine Applegate, which is a magical realism book. It's All or Nothing Vale by Andrea Beatriz Arango, which is a contemporary novel in verse. Secrets of the Purple Pearl, Mirabel Quibb School of Etiquette for Young Ladies of Mad Science by Kate McKinnon, which is a fantasy. The Trouble with Heroes by Kate Messner, which is a contemporary. Octopus Moon by Bobby Pyron, which is a contemporary novel in verse. Vanya and the Wild Hunt by Sanya Mandarana, which is a fantasy. Books that were considered but didn't make it onto the long list for 2025 are Max in the Land of Lies, A Tale of World War II by Adam Gidwitz, which is a historical fiction. Will's Race for Home by Jewel Parker Rhodes, which is a historical fiction. The Lone Husky by Hannah Gold, which is a contemporary adventure. Please Pay Attention by Jamie Summer, which is a contemporary. Safe Harbour by Padma Venkatraman, which is a contemporary novel in verse. The First Year by Matt Goodfellow, which is a contemporary novel in verse. Whale Eyes by James Robinson, which is a non-fiction memoir. London Calling, City Spies by James Ponty, which is a mystery. The Beat I Drum by Dusty Bowling, which is a contemporary. Right Back at You by Caroline Mackler, which is a sci-fi. The hidden gems that didn't make it onto the long list for 2025 are The House Next Door by Ellen O, which is a horror mystery thriller. The Line They Drew Through Us by Hiba Noor Khan, which is a historical fiction. The Girl, the Gate and the Dragon by Grace Lynn, which is a fantasy. Radiant by Vanda Michaud Nelson, which is a historical fiction. Coach by Jason Reynolds, which is a contemporary. Nick Blake and the Remarkables, The Book of Anansi by Angie Thomas, which is a fantasy. The Beast Beneath the Winds, which is a collection of short stories by authors including Hannah Alkaf, and they are fantasy short stories. The Teacher of Nomadland, a World War II story by Daniel Nayeri, which is a historical fiction. A Benny and the Kingdom of Gold by P. Jelly Clark, which is a fantasy. Spy School Blackout by Stuart Gibbs, which is a mystery. So now you know what the Middle Grade Madness Challenge is all about. You know which books are nominees. If you want to just keep it at that and go off merrily on your way and read, please do. If you're here for some fun and games and want to get involved with prompts, stick around. So I have 2 different maps set up. So depending how much you want to read and how flexible you want to be with the prompts, you can choose which one you want to do. So we have the Traveller's Trail, which has got 5 prompts to it. They just follow one after the other, the idea being that you start at the beginning of the woods. So you're going into the woods and then you end up at this kind of delightful treehouse. And the 5 prompts are quite open-ended, so you can really make it kind of work for you in what you want to read. Peril, as you can hear in the title, the name sounds a little bit more scary and more challenging. So this is a maze. You start in the middle, you make different choices. Are you going left or right? Which doorway are you going through? And you come across different perils that you have to get through by reading a book that fits the prompt. And then there are 3 different exits that you can come out at. It is possible to get out of the maze by just reading one book. I haven't tried all the different combinations, but the way I would recommend playing this game is choose how many prompts you would like to do, or just keep going, doing as many as you want until you run out of time or you've decided you've had enough. There are 12 prompts in total. So what I would recommend doing is writing down or putting them in a spinner wheel or however you want to do it, those ones you want to do, and then just kind of pick them out the hat, or pick 2 or pick 3 and kind of do a little, well, which one do I want to do? Like, should I do this one or should I do that one, in terms of like left or right, or a choice of 3 doorways. There are also 4 portals. So you could leave the pyramid via the portal, do the Traveller's Trail, and then come back into the map via the portal again and carry on with Pyramid Peril. Or you could just do Pyramid Peril and then Traveller's Trail, however you want to do it. It's totally up to you how you want to mix it up. I have also got some alternative prompts. If you really don't like some of them and want to swap them out, you can absolutely do that. You can make up your own prompts. Instead of prompts, you could just put all the books you want to read and assign them to a different place. So for example, if you were doing Traveller's Trail and you really wanted to read 5 fantasy books, you could just choose those 5 fantasy books and put 1 on each part of the trail that you come across. So you would just then read those books instead of reading for prompts. So first I'll go through the 5 Traveller's Trail prompts, and then I'll go through the 12 Pyramid Peril prompts and also give you the alternative ones that you might choose to do. Traveller's Trail. The first prompt for the Traveller's Trail is Popular Path. Here there is a little stony path leading into the woods with a sign next to it pointing out the map. To progress from this place, you need to read a book that was on the shortlist. Prompt 2. Slippery Stones. This is sort of like a waterfall little beck that you could kind of ford across in a stream, but it's full of rocks, so it'd be very slippy and hard to walk across. So for this prompt, you need to read a book that is more of a challenge. So whatever that means for you, whether that's something that's a different type of genre, got sort of a harder subject matter than you want to tackle with, however you interpret a challenge. Prompt 3 is Quarry Quest. Here you have got lots of stones that have been dug out of the hillside, and it is an abandoned quarry. For this place, you need to read a book that entered the lists as a hidden gem. So this could be anyone's listed down as a hidden gem, or any books that, even though they were a hidden gem, they went onto the Longlist, Shortlist, and even won it. Prompt number 4 is Sandy Sinkhole. So here you have lots and lots of sand dunes, and in the middle is a giant hole. And for this prompt, you have to read a book that didn't make it onto the shortlist. So You could read another hidden gem for this one if you wanted to. You could read a book from the consideration list, or you could read a book that was from the long list. And finally, prompt 5 is Reader's Rest. Here we have a giant thick-trunked oak tree full of leaves. There's little lights dangling down from all the leaves. There is a door set into the trunk that is opening. It all looks really warm and inviting and magical, and there's little sort of fluttery paper butterflies flying around the top. For this prompt, so you can go inside and snuggle up and be nice and cozy, you need to read a book that you just can't wait to pick up. So that was nice and straightforward for the Traveller's Trail. Pyramid Peril, not so much. We have got more random prompts. We have got more challenging prompts. So enjoy. So like I said for this one, choose how many you want to do. You can even choose which prompts you are interested in doing and which ones you aren't, and just pick those ones. Put it all into sort of a bag if you want to, or put it on a spinner wheel. Or you could assign each one a number on a dice and roll a dice. Or you could use the dice to pull different ones out of the bag, or do 3 spins on the wheel, however you are planning to do it. Just so it gives you that kind of maze adventure choices feeling. Prompt 1 is Creepy Cobwebs. There's just lots of pictures of spidery webs hanging around. So to get through these cobwebs, you have to read a book that's been on your radar for a while. And it's up to you how long you think a while is. If you heard a book mentioned a couple of months ago and you've been thinking about it, that could be a while. If for you a while has to be like over 6 months or a year ago, again, that's fine. Just whatever you've kind of been thinking about and been thinking of picking up reading. Prompt number 2 is Bennu block. So Bennu is the deity of creation, rebirth, and the sun. So to pass this ancient Egyptian bird god, there are 2 things we could choose to do. 1, you could read a book with more than one O in the title. So for example, if a word's got wood in it, W-O-O-D, so the foresty wood, that would count. Or if the book has a title that involves like on and of, then that would count because you've got the O in on and the O in of. Or you could read a book that you know has a circle on the cover of it. Prompt number 3 is Deep Well Danger. So here is a stone well that is very, very wide and also very, very deep with water at the bottom. And so to get past this obstacle, then you need to read a book that either has got water on the cover or has an odd number of chapters that break up the book. Either of those ways are fine. Prompt number 4 is Halt Hieroglyphics. So here we have a wall covered in hieroglyphics. And to get past this wall, what you need to do is read a book where the author is of a different nationality to the book you have previously read. Or if that is quite difficult information to find out, just a book that is set in a different country to the book you previously read. Now, a book that you previously read could be literally the last book you read. It could be, if you wanted to be focusing just on middle grade books, it could be the last middle grade you read. It could be the last book you read for this challenge. If this is the first prompt that you have, then it could just be if you have read any of the books that were nominees, using that one as an example. So any book that you've last read. Prompt number 5 is Coiled Cobra. So here is, funnily enough, a giant snake that is a cobra, and there's some smaller cobras in front of it. To get past the cobra unharmed, then there are 2 things you can do. One is you can do a pet pick. So put a few books out and put some pet treats on top of it and get your pet to pick the book. Hello. That's my guinea pig. They perked up at the sound of pet treat. If you don't have a pet, then you can do a poll pick. So you can either encourage other people to vote on a book. So this could be people of the internet doing it that way, or you could use members of your own family, just getting someone else to choose which of some options you should read next. Prompt number 6 is rotten ropes. So there are a couple of rope ladders in front of you because we're going to be going up now, but they are broken and frayed at different points. So to safely get up, then you need to read a book with less pages than the book you have read before. And again, book you've read before, it could be any book, or it could be specifically middle grade. Prompt number 7 is Sphinx Riddle. So yes, the next obstacle is a sphinx, crouching body of the lion, head of a human that loves to tell a riddle, and wearing a lovely pharaoh's hat with yellow and red blue stripes. So to answer the riddle and get safely past, then there are 2 things you can do. So this is going to be more challenging because it's from a sphinx. So option 1, read a book where the author's name starts with the last letter from your last book title. So, for example, these won't count because they're adult books, but if you had last read Beloved by Toni Morrison, the last letter of Beloved is a D. So you would need an author whose name starts with a D. For example, Daphne du Maurier. So you could read Rebecca. Or option 2 is to read a book with a name in the title. So this can be a first name, like a given name, or this could be a title like girl, boy, child, or something that clearly describes a person like teacher, princess, or even wanderer. Just something that lets us know there's a person involved in the title of the book. Prompt number 8 is Anubis chamber. So Anubis is the mythical Egyptian god of death and the afterlife. So in the chamber you have a table full of bandages and ointments for mummification and the brass scales that weighs the heart. And to safely get through this very creepy chamber, you just need to read a book that deals with heavy topics. So quite a lot of these middle grade books explore some themes that are quite tricky. So some of them look at illness, mental health, depression, racism, grief. There's lots of different things on there. So reading one of those will help you safely get through. Prompt number 9 is sarcophagus stop. So blocking your way is a very beautiful sarcophagus. And to get past this incredibly heavy, ornate box that may or may not contain a mummy is 2 things. So option 1, you can buy yourself one of these wonderful books to read, and that would help you pass through. If buying books is not for you right now, then you could use a TBR jar to pick your next read. So choose a few options, put them in a jar, put them in a bag, put them on a spinner wheel and just randomly choose so one of them comes up. Prompt number 10 is sliding slabs. So the floor is lava and there are stones that are kind of moving backwards and forwards. So you jump from stones to stone to get across. To safely navigate this, then you need to read a book that is part of a series. So quite a lot of these books are the next book in a series, the first book in a series, and some of them are even prequels to series. So as long as it is attached to a series and it's not just fantasy, there are quite a lot of contemporary books in here. There's some mystery books. There should be something that you would enjoy that is part of a series. Prompt number 10 is Pharaoh's Puzzle. So this is another one that's a bit of a challenge because, the pharaoh, whether it's a ghost of a pharaoh or it's something that's kind of come up through levers, there is a puzzle for you to solve. So to manage to solve this puzzle, there are 2 things you can do. So there is a cover colour match where a small bit of colour from the book you last read must then be the main colour on the book that you are about to read. So, for example, if you've just read Charlotte's Web, Wilbur the pig is pink. So then you would be looking for a book that has a mainly pink cover, such as Bally Shoes. There are lots of copies of Bally Shoes where the main colour of that book is pink. The other option is a caps word match. So caps words are connectors like and or, articles such as the, a, or prepositions such as on, in, out. So if you have just read The Wizard of Oz, you have got a the or an of that you could match to your next book. So then you could read something like Anne of Green Gables, because the of would be a caps word match. If again this is quite tricky, then you can just read a book that has a caps word in it. So as long as it has one of those words, that would count. So Good Night, Mr. Tom or Inkheart would not count because they have no caps words in those book titles. The final prompt is Labyrinth Lair. So here is a lovely cave inside the pyramid. I know, crazy, with torches either side and kind of a darkness within. And you need to go into this labyrinth lair to safely exit. All you need to do is just read a book that you have borrowed from the library. This could be ebook, audiobook, or a physical book. As long as you've borrowed it from the library, then it will count. And there are all the prompts for Pyramid Peril. So choose whichever ones you like from there, and you can make your own path to get out, or you could do it randomly. And you could also put the portal in there as well. So if you wanted to go and do the Traveller's Trail too, then it could be a surprise as to when you find a portal and then disappear to do the Traveller's Trail and then come back again. Totally up to you. Or you could just choose 5 prompts and work through them. If there are prompts that just do not work for you and you would like to swap some others in, here are some alternative prompt suggestions that you could choose to swap in. So I have 12 prompts to use as alternatives. 1. Read an audiobook. 2. Read an ebook. 3. Ask for a book recommendation and read it. 4. Flip a coin to decide between 2 books. 5. Read a book that is a different genre to the last book you read. 6. Read a book with a vertical title on the spine. 7. Read a book that is the first in a series. 8. Read a book that is a standalone. 9. Read a book by an author you have never read from before. 10. Put books in a random number generator and read the one that comes out. 11. Read a 5-star prediction. 12. Do the birth month code. So the birth month code depends which month you were born in, and either you can choose the vibes of the synopsis or you can choose ending on a page number. So if you were born in January, May or September, read a book that ends with a page number of 2 or that gives you summer vibes from the synopsis or the cover art. If you were born in February, in June or in October, read a book that ends in the page number 3 or gives you spring vibes from the synopsis or the cover art. If you were born in March, in July or in November, read a book that ends in the page number 4 and gives you winter vibes from the synopsis or the cover art. If you were born in April, in August or in December, read a book that ends in the page number 5 or that from the synopsis or the cover art gives you autumn or fall vibes. And that is everything there is to know about the Middle Grade Madness Challenge. If you do have any questions about anything, then please get chatty in the comments and ask me. You can also email me. It's chatty, CHATTIE, capital letter TMC @outlook.com. In the description box is the link to my Discord, Middle Grade Mad Chat, which is a middle grade devoted Discord. So you can also come and chat to me in there. Within Discord, we have got a space that is specifically for the Middle Grade Mad Chat. So you can go along. There is a question and answer section in that, along with all the graphics and all of the chat about how people are reading, what books they're finding, what their progress is. So you can come and join us there as well. There is also some links for the Storygraph challenges where you can see how many books you read on the shortlist. You can see how many books you read from 2023, how many books you read from 2024, and how many books you read from 2025. There will be one with prompts as well. And you can also make your own Storygraph challenge to reflect your own journey. Thanks so much for listening and happy reading, everyone.